My husband sold our house while I was in the hospital, but what I hid in the attic gave me the ultimate victory. Voices of Auntie Mae, my dear young warriors, listen to me closely, because today I'm not just telling you a story, I'm handing you the weapon that will protect your life when the people closest to you try to bury you alive. I was lying in that cold hospital bed, tubes in my arms, heart barely beating, when the man I loved for 37 years walked into a real estate office and sold the house we built together. The house where our children took their first steps, where I planted roses every spring, where I thought I would grow old and die in peace. He sold it while I was fighting for my life, and do you know what hurt more than the betrayal? It was discovering that my own son knew, helped him choose the buyer, and never once picked up the phone to warn his mother. But sweethearts, what they didn't know was that years ago, when they were laughing at me for being too sentimental, I had hidden something in that attic that would turn their victory into ashes. Today, I'm going to show you how a broken woman rose from the hospital bed and reclaimed not just a house, but her power, her dignity, and her future. Because if an old lady like me can do it, so can you. They thought they had won the moment the papers were signed. My husband stood in our kitchen, his kitchen now smiling like he'd finally gotten rid of the burden that was me. He told everyone I was too sick to manage the big house anymore, that it was best for me to move into a tiny apartment closer to the hospital. My son nodded along, counting the money they'd split. They even toasted with the good wine I'd been saving for our 40th anniversary. But while they were celebrating, I was lying in that hospital room remembering every single time I swallowed my voice to keep the peace, every time I smiled when I wanted to scream, every time I put their happiness above my own. And in that pain, something ancient woke up inside me, the same fire that carried my grandmother through the war, the same strength that carried my mother through raising 5 kids alone. I realized something that changed everything. Kindness is not weakness, but when kindness is mistaken for weakness, it's time to show them the steel underneath. I stopped crying that night. I started planning, because the attic wasn't just storage, it was my war chest. Years earlier, when my husband was too proud to admit we were struggling, I quietly bought back the original deed to the land the house sat on in my name only. I paid for it with money I made from selling my paintings at weekend markets, money he laughed at and called pin money. That deed was sitting in a metal box under the insulation, wrapped in oilcloth, waiting for a moment exactly like this one. Young people, hear me. Always keep one card nobody knows you're holding. Life will try to strip you bare, but never let them take everything. The day I was discharged, I didn't go to the apartment they had picked out for me. I took a taxi straight to the county clerk's office with a walker in one hand and fire in my eyes. The girl behind the counter looked scared when I slid the original land deed across, dated 12 years before the house was even built, proving the land never belonged to both of us, only to me. You should have seen their faces when the sheriff knocked on the door 2 days later with an eviction notice for them. My husband screamed that I was crazy, that I would die alone and broke. My son called me selfish, said I was destroying the family. But I stood on that porch I had painted myself 30 years ago, and I looked them in the eyes and said, "You taught me the price of everything and the value of nothing. Now you will learn the difference." The law was clear. The house belonged to whoever owned the land, and that was me. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I simply watched them pack their bags while neighbors filmed on their phones. That video went viral. Millions watched an old woman in a wheelchair take back what was hers without raising her voice once. And do you know what the comments said? "This is the revenge we all dream of." But it wasn't revenge, darlings. It was justice. There's a difference. Revenge wants them to suffer. Justice wants you to live. People kept asking me, "Auntie Mae, how are you not bitter? How are you smiling after they did this to you?" And I tell them the truth. Bitterness is a poison you drink hoping someone else dies. I refused to drink it. Instead, I turned that house into something bigger than any of them could imagine. I started inviting women just like me, women who had been cheated on, thrown out, forgotten, to come live there for free while they got back on their feet. Within a year, we had 20 sisters living in those rooms that used to echo with lies. We painted the walls bright colors, planted a vegetable garden where his precious lawn used to be, and turned the garage into a studio where we sell our art online. Every month, the house pays for itself and then some. My husband drives by. Sometimes I see his car slow down, and he sees laughter coming from windows that used to know only tension. That is the sweetest victory of all. They tried to make me small, and I became shelter for hundreds. Never forget when they try to bury you. Sometimes you bloom into an entire forest. I learned something in that hospital bed that I pray you learn before you ever have to. Love is not ownership, and marriage is not surrender. I loved that man with every drop of my blood, but I loved myself too quietly, fiercely, in ways he never noticed until it was too late. Young queens, young kings, promise me something right now. Never make yourself small to fit into someone else's life. Never hide your savings, your dreams, your deeds, your power to keep the peace. Peace bought with your dignity is not peace, it's imprisonment. Build your life in such a way that if everyone walks away tomorrow, you are still standing tall on ground that belongs to you. Protect your name, protect your credit, protect your heart, but never protect their bad behavior at the cost of your future. And to every daughter-in-law who thinks her husband's mother is just an old lady, remember this: we were young once too. We fought battles you haven't faced yet. We carry wisdom in our bones and fire in our silence. Underestimate us at your peril. To every son who thinks loyalty to a wife means disloyalty to the woman who carried him for 9 months, shame on you. Blood is not a suggestion. And to every husband who thinks age makes a woman disposable, look at me. Look at what happens when you mistake patience for powerlessness. I am 71 years old, and I have never felt younger, stronger, or more alive. Because the day they tried to erase me was the day I finally started living for myself. So here I am, sitting on the same porch where I once cried myself to sleep, now surrounded by sisters who call me Mama Me, drinking tea we grew ourselves, laughing so loud the whole neighborhood hears it. The attic is empty now, no more secrets needed. Everything I am is out in the open, shining like the sun. My husband lives in a 1-bedroom apartment paid for by the son who helped him betray me and me. I wake up every morning in the house that love built, that betrayal couldn't break, that resilience made unbreakable. If a grandmother with a broken hip and a broken heart can rise like this, imagine what you can do while you're still young and strong. The world will try to sell your house out from under you one day, maybe not literally, but your dreams, your worth, your peace. Be ready. Keep something hidden in your attic, your faith, your plan, your unbreakable spirit. And when they come for you, rise up and show them who you really are. My beautiful warriors, never forget. They can sell the house, but they can never sell your name when it's written in courage. They can take the walls, but they can't take the foundation you built in secret. I was counted out, left for dead, laughed at, and discarded, and today I am the shelter so many run to when the storm hits them too. Your betrayal is coming, your hospital bed moment is coming, but so is your victory. Prepare for it. Fight for it, live for it, because the sweetest revenge is not destroying them, it's becoming everything they said you never could. I love you. Now go build your attic.